Hey, folks. Welcome. Episode, what are we on? Episode, I missed one, but here we are. We're back. We've been gone for a bit. Uh, you know, the world's falling apart. I don't want to say we're all falling apart with it, but I can at least say I'm partially falling apart. But things are up. We got some movement as far as my getting back into operational order in the next few weeks. So that's exciting. What I've learned about myself as a 40-year-old man is that I define myself through my work, which is probably not a great thing to do, but that's what I do. So having some form of purpose again has been helpful. So hopefully some of y'all out there that are sitting around, nothing to do, hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel, some fucking purpose again. So yeah, we're gonna while acknowledging that the world is a fucking disaster, try and keep shit light, because who wants to listen to three white dudes from Boston talk about race issues? Probably no one,
other white men from Boston.
Yeah,
can't see it.
We could also talk about income inequality issues, which is separate. But
we should remind everybody that when we start to talk about these things that are well above our intellect, that all of us just sell beer for a living.
Yeah, that's true. I was smart enough or stupid enough to get out of it no longer. But I guess no. In a sense, I do still sell beer. But
now you just sell right to the customers. You don't.
Yeah. Now you're literally just the middleman.
Yeah.
True middleman.
As I mentioned a moment ago, Canary Square is looking to reopen hopefully next week if all things go as planned. It's going to be weird. Limited food, limited drinks, limited everything, limited patients. It's like we don't know what it's going to look like. We're just really trying to create like a chill spot for folks to hang out outside that they want to. We're lucky enough to have a patio and be able to sit, enough people out there for it to make sense for us to open. I know a lot of these smaller restaurants with, small footprints and no sidewalk space don't really have that option. So we're very fortunate in that sense. But yeah, we're going to play it by ear and just do the best and try our goddamnedest and see how it goes, man.
I, for one, am looking forward to pizza and beer at Canary Square.
Yeah, we're not starting with that because we're like, we don't want to order a bunch of food up. Like it was in Portland, Maine a few weeks ago. They pulled restrictions. They reinforced restrictions. 2 days before they said they were going to open up their next phase, and restaurants are already sitting on inventory, and it was a nightmare. We're trying to avoid that, so we're hoping our guests that are coming in expecting a full menu of craft beer and Impossible burgers and chicken wings can, practice a little flexibility.
You didn't have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks before going up there, or did you just not say anything?
Where am I going?
When you went up to Maine, you didn't have to self-quarantine. We were talking.
My wife and I were talking.
What's that?
I was just retelling an event that happened to me. I didn't go to
Maine. Okay.
I was I was at one of the local places that had just opened up its patio the other night, and they were scrambling to kind of get everything going. And it's obviously chaotic, and social distancing and restrictions for tables and everything else kind of went out the window within about an hour. But one thing I was amazed about is there were people still being really rude to their server because they expected it to be like, I don't know, like the old days, or even beyond that. They expected this person just to be able to get them their fucking chicken nuggets within 30 seconds and, their beers, and just be waited on hand and foot. And while this poor person's trying to plod along through all these weird safety standards and everything else. And it just reminded me that people still suck in the service industry. Like, there's that article, I think we mentioned it on an earlier episode, this woman who had a bakery and she opened it up and she was thrilled to open it up. And then like a couple of weeks in, she was like, no, people suck. Like, even do this, it's like I got to deal with some rude asshole who's upset about his brioche. I
was in Massachusetts, I believe.
Yeah.
And like that's one thing I'm worried about is like, how much patience do I have for someone that's like pissed right now? Like, really, man, come on. I don't know. We'll find out how much patience I have when patience, but
Some things never change.
screaming in the background.
Some things never change.
What's up?
The chaos. What's the chaos in the background?
Hold on 1 sec.
It sounds like
Sure.
Raquel is skinning a cat back there or something.
Per hour.
We're all set.
Okay.
We're having some
How you
talk
doing,
about
Jeff? Now
about
that
work,
you closed
work
the door, how you
issues.
doing?
How am I doing, or how's Jim doing?
Huh?
Huh? It's turning to a circus play where we don't hear each other.
I'm doing all right. I'm trying to figure out when exactly phase 3 will start and we'll get open, because the second half of phase 2 for opening doors just seems like bullshit. I am a little pissed that the governor, for some reason, just decided that casino restaurants could open at the beginning of phase 2, even though they're completely indoor, and the rest of us obviously can't do that, which blows. But then again, he also made it legal for them to serve booze on their floor till 4 a.m. So it's the big money places get the most rights for some reason. But no, I'm doing good. It is what it is. We'll tread water. I was talking to a buddy of mine in New York who his restaurant group that he runs the beverage program for is just starting to kind of plan reopening, because they can open for outside and roof decks starting soon, but at 50% capacity, and even more restrictions than we have. So he's plodding along through that. And I was talking to him. I was like, oh, it could be worse. I could be planning to open up in Manhattan right now with everything going on. So I'm rather chipper. In fact, I'll talk about the beer I'm drinking. Richard, you're not having a beer, are you?
I do have one beer. I got one.
I have one too, but I'm going to drink multiple of it because it's actually, I'm pretty pumped about it. The limited edition 40th anniversary Sierra Nevada Hoppy Anniversary Ale, which is basically just a West Coast IPA, but it's really fucking good. So I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah, we had that on at the bar when we closed. So a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's held up very nicely. It's a fantastic beer.
Yeah, what do you got?
I have Jeff Allworth of the Beervana podcast was talking about this beer as one of his desert island beers, and it just came out. So Gujaradin Black Label comes out once a year. It's pretty inexpensive. It's a blend of 12, 18, and 24 month lambics. Pineapple light, delicious. So
Pineapple and light.
Did you just say gush?
Goose.
Goose.
You used to sell that beer when it came out once a year.
I sold the 12 cases that Massachusetts got a year.
Yep.
To the 12 stores every year. No, a couple bars.
Anyway, I saw it on the shelf and figured I should drink it because he was talking about it, and I hadn't had one in a few years. So, yeah, that's what I'm drinking. And
Good beer.
yeah, and to Rich, to back up on what you're talking about when phase 3 will happen, we'll need to see what happens with the number of cases that are diagnosed in Massachusetts over the next few weeks. I know a lot of other states had spikes in cases after Memorial Day. We'll need to see what happens in a week or two.
Jim, I honestly think at this point, like, quarantine fatigue has set in, so that I'll be shocked if they roll it back. I think he realizes, and other states realize, that if they roll it back, people are still just going to go, fuck you, I'm going to the beach. I mean, the people who were the staunchest, like, stay the fucking home, like people screaming that on like social media or, via email and everyone else. They're the ones that I'm seeing outside now, like, hugging and everyone else. I think quarantine fatigue is really set in. I'll be shocked if they roll it back.
Well, I just hope herd immunity is near and hope the virus doesn't mutate. I don't know. So we could die in other ways too, but there's that as well. So,
Jim, that's why you're the positive spoke in the wheel here on the show. That's why we're here. Yeah. I think it is just your family motto for the Vertil family for the next generation is we can die in other ways. It's just great. It's a good way to live through life. I love you.
You didn't bring me here for my charming personality.
No, it is true. It is very true.
Why are you here?
I think we're losing your audio a bit, Richard. What do you think?
I'll just go like this for the rest of the fucking game.
Do you know semaphore or sign language or something? Get you a couple flags.
Richard, what's your one beer?
I'm still drinking through the case that Jim dropped off for me.
What the fuck?
One.
Oh, oh, that one.
Oatmeal stout. It's nice. I like it.
There you go.
Flavor Town.
You need to go out and buy beer, Tino.
No, I don't.
You brought a beer for free.
I know, but I'm all right.
And I'm stubborn. And if we continue to do this, and I continue to not buy a beer, you're a doer. So you'll just probably bring me more stuff.
No, I won't.
Yes.
I'm gonna-
Actually, no, Jim, you will. You will. We know you will. In fact, I'm not buying beer for the next episode.
I guess I'm not ordering takeout from the Keep next episode.
I think we're doing a Southern Boil, I think, this weekend for a special, which I'm looking forward to. Should we talk about the fact that draft beer really won't be available for bars after this, or coming for a little while? Will that be baffling to the three people who may actually still watch this this video?
So what, you're implying that breweries aren't making kegs, aren't kegging anymore? They're doing all packaged, and that is going to obviously fuck up the pipeline of draft supply?
Richard, we're taking pre-orders for just an IPA from one of our biggest breweries. So, I mean, that may tell you what we're in for as they dump millions of barrels of beer across the country.
You have like no kegs in your warehouse?
No, we have kegs. No, there's kegs.
There's kegs. They're just worried about them. They're worried about the code. I think the coding is probably the biggest worry, right, Jim? They don't know if they're going to code in the warehouse, if they'll code out accounts, and it's not like
Right.
they just start brewing right away when, I mean, everyone's kind of in the dark in terms of when we'll fully open and people can buy pints. So with IPAs now having shorter and shorter shelf lives because people want them to look like chicken stock and all New England style, I think that's the issue. I mean, something like Springdale IPA should be fine, right, Jim? And, like Medusa Laser Cat. And
Yeah, those are 120-day codes, so those can last a while.
But then you have beers like Toppling Goliath and Lawson's where it's like, you got a brewer telling you it needs to be kept cold and within 10 days it's going to be like funkier. You're like, the fuck? How am I going to open? So a lot of them, they're not even kegging it right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, go ahead, Tino. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Could you approximate how much beer is sitting in your house currently that you're concerned about? Like what percentage of it?
I mean, all the beer that went out of code has been dumped.
Yeah.
So I mean, the only ones that are left are like a lot of lagers, a lot of pilsners, a lot of hefeweizens. So all that stuff.
It's more the turnaround from breweries. And actually, you know what? That is a perfect segue to bring in our guest. And Mr. John Payton's
Work for a brewery?
I'm admitting him now. Hold on.
JP.
JP.
Hi, John.
JP got no face.
Connecting to
face?
the audio.
Oh, wait, hold on. Oh,
Watch that video, but there he is.
There he is.
hey,
Hey.
what's up?
What's happening, John?
You sitting in your home office?
This is my wife's home office, actually. My home office is the kitchen now. So she has more papers to print out and organize constantly. So, she's like, she does HR work. So, my stuff is like strictly digital. I don't do
It is
You're
fucking
saving the earth.
it is metaphysical.
I guess that could be metaphysical. And sometimes I feel that way about it.
John, we want to welcome you to the show that I think 2 or 3 people still watch. I think I even have tuned out at this point. But for the people that may stumble upon this, could you introduce yourself and tell them where you're from and what you do?
I'm a man from Rhode Island originally, but Massachusetts currently. I sell beer. I run. I listen to music. And I have a child and a wife, like many other men.
The child is correct. The child is a new child.
Huh?
The child is a new child. You recently
No. He's gonna be 4 next month.
pretty new. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I guess he's new comparatively to like other things.
The trade-in value is still high.
assuming it's at least 80, it's still new. It's like a car. You buy it, it's new for the first couple of years. Not all.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You drive a car off the lot. It's not new anymore. The value plummets. What are you talking about?
True.
New feeling. The new feeling. The child still feels new when you pick it up. Does it smell new? Did kids have a new car? New kids smell?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, babies have a smell.
Yeah, it's
I
called
mean, I know my wife's always like, let me get a hit of that new baby smell.
I'm gonna call child services. Like, this is on DSS.
Yeah.
around the baby to sniff.
So I guess for other people watching, I am the Massachusetts sales manager for Lord Hobo, but I hope that doesn't like dictate who I am.
That's deep. That's deep.
I am many things.
You should have said what pays you, and then you could have just said that.
Yeah. Yeah. How have you guys been?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what it is. I'm doing all right. COVID. Yeah. Pre-sale for a beer from a brewery I've never heard of called. And I'm not sure if accounts were happy about that. I don't think they were.
For what?
This isn't funny. We had a pre-sale for a beer. I think it was a pale ale and a pilsner. And Jim, do you remember the brewery?
City Lights. It's from Milwaukee. It's actually right like 2 blocks away from where I went to college. So I was not there when I was there. So it started like 8 years ago. I'd never heard of it.
So they're doing a beer called Fuck COVID, and their pilsner, easy IPA, part of the Brew Pipeline series. So we had to pre-sale those, and we did not pre-sell a lot of them, from what I gather, because accounts are like, this isn't funny.
Yeah. They're like taking it a lot more serious than like fuck COVID. Yeah. Sure. That makes sense. Like, I get it. Like, it's not like that funny to joke about at this point. Although I do feel as if like the response from like CDC or WHO and versus like government is like comical at best. Like, it's kind of unreal. Like the responses that we get like on a week-to-week basis, like, oh, now it's not communicable. Like, if you're asymptomatic, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Like, it's like so, I don't know, dumb. It's so dumb. Like, but I get it. Like, it's like there's a lot to learn about this thing.
Bizarre. It's definitely changing everything. One thing we were talking about actually just before you came on is
John, what are you drinking, by the way?
Oh, sorry. Yes. What are you drinking?
Well, Oxbow surf casting.
Ooh.
Farmhouse ale with sea salt and lime. It is quenchable. It's very delightful. really like this beer a lot. I like the Oxbow stuff. Like almost all of it is, top notch. So,
They make great beer.
yeah. Well, it was my birthday yesterday, so I bought a bunch of beers for myself.
Happy birthday.
Happy belated
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you.
The only one of us, or the three of us that is on social media that would know that now is Tarantino. So if he
wished me a happy birthday yesterday. That's why I'm
all right, good. He speaks for all three of us when he does everything on social media from here on out. So you're welcome.
Nice.
Birthday wishes.
Anything I say extends to both Jim and Rich at any point.
He also replied to a text I sent him on a Friday night in November, in wishing me a happy birthday. And huh?
Yeah, sure. Like yesterday.
I ended up going to the Gourmet Dumpling House that night. And I was just trying to get a friend to share a bowl of Szechuan fish because, I can't eat it by myself.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, dude. I was still in the dark place then.
I think you may have even been in Nashville at the time. I think that was. Didn't you go down to Nashville or New Orleans or something?
I went to New Orleans. Maybe that's when I was in New Orleans. I don't know.
Yeah, could have been.
Actually, John, now that I think about it, the communication. I've had communication with you when I was in an Irish pub in Germany and I was hammered.
Yeah, you did. You ended up calling.
Now.
Or no, I called you and you actually answered.
I did. I was. For some reason, every night in Germany, we wound up in an Irish pub. It made no sense. And there are Irish pubs all over Germany with not a single Irish person in them. But
That's weird.
yeah, it was a bunch of Germans drinking in the Irish pub, and then basically the gaggle of Americans that we were. And I do remember and we were all drinking Corona because you didn't sound like you're drinking Guinness in our college of culture, place you wouldn't have thought of.
That's like the most American thing you could do in Germany.
Basically, drink a Mexican lager and an Irish in Germany.
Totally. Oh man.
Globalization.
What were you guys talking about beforehand?
So we're talking about kegged beers and especially short shelf life IPAs, and if breweries right now are confident at kegging them, considering they don't know if phases are going to be
Sure.
back or forward. And you can definitely speak to this better than I can, and better than mostly Tim or mostly Tarantino. About Jim. Jim seems to be knowledgeable about everything in life. So I mean, maybe evenly with Jim. But what do you have going on at your brewery? Do you think that you're going to hold off on some of the kegs of the short shelf life IPAs?
I mean, we're gonna focus on really core items, and low quantities. But I think the more challenging thing is just getting a forecast together in the first place, because we just don't know who's gonna open and who isn't. But I mean, our distributor has already put in an order, so it's there's already kegs being produced for consumption in the market, but it's also 40 for the whole state, or it's such low quantities because you want to see all right, well, what's the pull like? So, when's that second order coming? But also, it is a second order. That means, then you know how fast things are depleting out in the market. So it's really well, if there is a second order, when is it? What time, how much time is going to elapse before you have to send more to the distributor? So it's I think it's just totally up in the air at this point. We're not going to produce we're not going to put our anniversary beer into kegs. That's going to remain in cans where we can actually see it deplete out in the market efficiently. But to put a triple IPA out on draft would be idiotic of us. It's you can only handle 3 items really, and then 2 or 3 others in lower quantities. So it's I think it's a really it's like difficult to think about. It's difficult to like project, and like, you know, I mean, there's only luckily we've only seen like 4 or 5 restaurants actually close in the Boston area, which is huge. I mean, some of them are, institutions,
Yeah,
you know.
Gucci going down was a real bummer.
Yeah, like, and Deep Ellum's gonna be absorbed by Lone Star, fine, but that's like, you know, they won't get rid of the German beers most likely, but they're also like not. It's not the same.
Well, they from what I talked to the brothers Tosi of both about it, because Ian and I are pretty tight, and then I
Yeah.
talked to Max briefly through text. I think they're going to keep a lot of the lines, but they're actually going to focus more on the lagers, is what they were
Oh,
saying.
that's smart. I mean, it's tacos, right? Like tacos and lager. Pretty good pairing.
Yeah, I mean, it is inherently sad. I mean, T-Bone's off the list. I fucking love that place. But Lone Star is awesome, so I mean, good for him, and it's probably long term a better financial move. Like,
Yeah.
you go through Alston on a fucking Friday, and there's 20 people waiting outside for tacos, and you can get into Bone normally. Not that I want to fucking wait in line for anything, but
Yeah.
financially, it's probably a good move, despite it being just a fucking bummer. But
Mhm.
those patties and tacos and fucking Kumbacher Edelherb on a patio.
Yeah.
Margin-wise, in terms of the food, it makes the most sense to sell something like pizza, which I give Canary Square full credit for doing that, and tacos, because they're relatively affordable to make, and because of the environment that they're in, you can charge a little bit more of a premium. So it just makes a hell of a lot more sense. You make more on tacos than you do a burger. You make more on pizza than you do like, a steak or anything else. And Deep Ellum's menu, I mean, it was a badass menu. I love the fucking concept. I'm bummed it's gone, especially from the Gorgonzola truffle fries. I hope he somehow keeps.
And the kimchi dog.
Kimchi dog. That's the one. That's the one.
I made Kathleen a kimchi dog deep fried wrapped in bacon the other day. Like, it was like ultra trash meal, but like mad good.
Nice. That's awesome.
What
Yeah.
I'm gonna pivot off beer for just a second because I want to get this out. What's your I know we have maybe similar. We have pretty similar music tastes. What's your quarantine playlist been like? What are you listening to?
It's like it ranges, because like I've been super heavy back into stoner metal and like black metal and stuff like that, but I've been rocking like reggae again, a lot of reggae and a lot of Run the Jewels. Since that new Run the Jewels album is just, it's like poignant, on the nose commentary on society, and it's bangers all day. Like, it's like super fun to listen to. But it's been a lot of reggae, a lot of heavy stuff too. So like I don't know, Dow, Sleep, stuff I've been listening to for like 10 plus years.
So you're smoking a lot of weed.
I mean, that's never stopped. That doesn't stop at all. So I actually just got some like high CBD stuff, which I'm pretty pumped up about, because like, I don't know, like weed's too strong most of the time. Like, and like high CBD, you're like just mellowed out and like just not as paranoid. So
I grew up smoking garbage weed and like had to smoke a ton. I didn't smoke a lot for years. Like I would fuck around every once in a while, but I kind of picked up smoking more regularly in the last couple of years again. It's crazy, man. Like that hashtag old guy shit. Like, this new weed guy. This fucking
dude, I think like, I mean, like even myself, like before, basically like pre-son, pre-kid, like I was like, I'll smoke it. Hey, it's no problem. And then kid came. You spend like 72 hours awake in a hospital, and then like you're like, oh, I can't do that anymore. Like my body is physically unable to do that.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm like a once a day guy. You know, at night, go to sleep with some beers. You know.
I mean, I'd prefer it to actually drinking. And if I had to pick getting high or getting drunk, I'd get high. I mean, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The fact that I can function the next fucking day.
Yeah. Absolutely. Honestly, like sometimes it just gets you and you're laughing all night. It's good. It's good to have a nice laugh.
I'm the only one here that weed has never done anything really for me except make me like paranoid. So,
Well, Jim, whoever cut your hair was definitely high recently.
Rich, just because I can grow more hair than you doesn't mean you have to slander me. Okay.
I know I can grow the hair. Yours just looks better, but you have the same haircut as the third daughter in Mrs. Doubtfire right now. I'm a little worried about it.
It's not the hairstylist's fault that Jim went in asking to look like a 16-year-old girl. Like,
How much hair are you growing these days, Tino?
not a lot here.
Only
Yep.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hacked my shit off a couple weeks ago, man. I couldn't do it. I was getting, I mean, honestly, the real reason I chopped it off is I was getting fucking beard dandruff all over my synthesizers. Like, oh,
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm
That
fucking,
sounds disgusting.
it's gross as shit, but I'm like, I'm a weirdo, so I'm like playing music and scratching at myself, and then I get done 10 minutes later, I look down, I'm like, what the fuck is all this? Ah, shit, I gotta cut my beard.
Yeah.
Beard dandruff all over my synthesizer.
Look,
There's analog. There we
you
go.
know what helps that, right? You know what helps that?
Yeah.
Beard oil and bombs, like combing.
I'm gonna start taking care of myself now. I'm 40.
Okay.
Oh, I'm all set. I'm gonna start taking less care if that's even fucking humanly possible.
I decided to do this because of COVID, quarantine, and I'm like kind of loving it because I can wear a backwards hat now. I've never been able to wear a backwards hat. I kind of like it.
Wait a minute, like the fitted or the snapback?
The snapback,
Yeah, that's
you know,
nothing to do with hair.
pops out the front, too much bulk underneath.
I think I own one snapback trucker's hat, and it's my Sierra Nevada hat, and it's the only one that I think I have. Other than that, I only have like one or two fitted hats that I don't wear. I'm not much of a hat guy. I can't do the hat thing. For some reason, it's a mental thing. I can't figure it out. Whereas, and I'm pretty sure Tino hasn't taken that headband off for about 3 months now.
I have two. I have a pink tie-dyed one. I actually ended up in a Black Lives Matter march a couple days ago, like last week, completely accidentally. We were going to like mail something, and we walk outside, and I hear chanting. I'm like, oh shit! Just going down Beacon Street in Brookline, and there's like thousands of people, and I like legit. I'm wearing a fucking tie-dye headband, Crocs, athletic shorts, and a shirt it's from a biscuit restaurant in Asheville, but the tagline on the back of it says "Put some South in your mouth."
I know that shirt.
Wow.
My protest getup.
That's very protesty.
Everyone's got like black shirts and like hardcore band shirts and fucking bandanas, and they're like, "Yeah, fuck this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I look like a weird fucking dude right now, man."
We went to the protest in Quincy with our kid. We didn't march and like chant and stuff because he's almost 4 and would not have been able to get very far before being like, I'm tired. We did take him to like the opening remarks and stuff. It was interesting later on that day seeing all of it on the news and him being like, oh yeah, we were there before. And I'm like, oh, all right. It's like connecting. connecting like where he was to like seeing what's on the TV. That's kind of rad.
I was in.
How's that going? Are you you're basically homeschooling your kids right now? Yeah. Are you prepared for that? Did you have a lot of preparation and time to get ready for that?
Oh.
We had like 3 weeks notice before, not even.
I mean, like homeschooling. Like I don't know that we homeschool. We put some like tracing books in front of them once in a while. Like we make them color once in a while. No.
Do you put headphones on his ears at night and play lessons so that he falls asleep and he can wake up and he can rattle off all the kings of England in a row?
No, he's a child still.
Let
him be a child.
I don't know. That was how they learned in like the future in like the 60s and 70s.
Jim.
Yeah, and they've all really seemed to become really enlightened by that knowledge from what we can see.
Oh yeah, I know.
Jim just described his formative years, by the way.
I did like reading almanacs a lot and memorizing stuff. I'm not so good at it anymore, but yeah.
Compared to who? I mean, the three of us, you're probably still very good at it, Jim.
Well, like Bomani Jones just rattled off I saw him rattle off all the Heisman winners in a row, except missing one, and then all the first round draft picks in the NFL draft since like the 70s. So I can't do
extremely valuable knowledge.
I forget at least one word per sentence that I say throughout the day.
That's a pretty good average. I'm at like 2 to 3 words.
Constantly.
Getting back to you guys being in those protests, I was in DC for our fearless idiot holding the Bible as though it was
oh really
a pamphlet. Yeah,
A human
upside down too.
Yeah, oh my God, and we were staying less than a mile away from the White House, and we got there that morning, and everything, all the windows were smashed and businesses around it. There's graffiti everywhere, and the cleanup that happens there is, I mean, for obvious reasons, is faster than anything I've ever seen. And throughout the day, we were moving someone back out, so we didn't get to like go around the city too much. I made it to Ben's Chili Bowl, which Tino, I sent you that picture of that, and then Jim, you already knew it too. Fantastic. It did this thing called like a half smoke, which is this sausage that is half smoked and then finished on like a flat top with onions and chili, and it's fucking amazing. I think it's also like one of the first African-American owned businesses in DC. It's been there since the 50s, and the food is top notch. Bourdain went there on no reservations, I think. And so I made it there, and then they locked the entire city down. And I went out at night once just to kind of see how far I could get before I felt like I was going to get arrested. I made it like a block or two away from the hotel, but it was eerie. It was just eerie. The whole place was deserted. The cops had moved all the protesters to the mall to corral them. And I think at that point, Trump was probably back in his fucking bunker or something. But it was just a bizarre feeling. And throughout the night, we got woken up in the hotel by just helicopters and a multitude of nonsense. And we got out of there early in the morning from the move. But it was an interesting, strange time with COVID, because the hotel was deserted. You couldn't do shit in the hotel because of COVID-19. So you're wearing masks everywhere. And with all the protests going on, at one point they herded half the protesters like down our street, and it was all cops on horseback, and it was just bizarre. And then they had these circling patrols of like 4 different of like 4 cruisers all in like a pack, and it was the weirdest shit to see. It was unbelievably surreal. I'll remember it for a while. And we also, in the hotel room, because you couldn't fucking go out, normally I'd go out, we watched an Edward Norton movie where he had Tourette's, and he's constantly yelling at people in Tourette's, which was very entertaining. That was the most entertaining part in between little bits of it there. So
That must be
randomly,
weird.
helicopters, and you'd be worried about COVID and everything else going on, and then there's Edward Norton going, and you're like, oh yeah, that's just everything right now.
I'm like amazed at how how everyone has just adapted to quarantine life, and like also too how like I don't know, I don't want to say ignorant because like everyone has like their ideas of like how they should be acting, but like like just we've all just switched to protesting. We still wear masks, and then but are still mad that we have to wear masks. And like, I don't know. I just find like the whole thing very odd. Like everything about it, like from quarantine kicking in to protesting kicking in to hey, let's all get back to normal and let's go drink a beer at a rooftop or a patio and let's all like just feel like nothing's going on in the world. And, very strange.
It's definitely bizarre. I mean, the three of us have been talking throughout the week about actually whether to do a show or not because it just seems to be, just so brutal in terms of what we
Oh,
talk about.
yeah.
So many people are, and I mean, ourselves included, are down about it or depressed about it or angry about it. And we can only imagine what people who actually have to live through this type of nonsense every day feel about it. I don't know. It's a surreal time to be alive, especially with having a reality star as a president right now during all that. It's like, Christ, anytime you'd hope for a leader to step up and try to help and try to calm nerves or get us back on the right track, the fucking idiot grabs the Bible upside down or praises like artificial job growth or just something that's just insane and exacerbates it.
I find that I've been gravitating towards people that are extremely positive, and like I've like latched onto them hard, like where I'm like, all right, this is like, like I've started over the past 8 weeks. I started running, and I went from being able to do 2 miles only to being able to run 5 miles, being able to run a 7-mile minute. A 7-minute mile. Yeah.
Holy shit, John!
Yeah. But like, but it's all because like, I'm like watching these guys that are like, no, you can do anything you put your mind to, and like you just gotta like, work harder because like no one cares if you're like no one really cares about you either way. And it's just for you, and like those are the things that I've latched on to pretty hard throughout all this. It's like just positivity, hard work, like physical hard work, like to make yourself fit and better. And those things are like huge for me. And especially because like this, working in the beer industry, I think I've been at 185 pounds or more. Never more than 195, but for the past 6 years since I got into this business, and now I'm down 10 pounds as of today, and I'm like, that's just through like positivity and dedication to like being a better self. But this is the time. It was all the time to do it. Having the time to do it is what's important about right now.
Richard, what are you clocking in at right now? You're skinny as a beanpole.
Put on, I don't know, probably 10, 15 pounds over the last couple months, just being lazy, snacking.
You're
And all the beer I dropped off at your place?
No, just like chocolate and shit, nuts. Eat a lot of nuts these days. Eat a lot of nuts. I think it's just a result of being bored. I mean, I go through phases. I work out. I'm good for a few weeks. I'm out running. I mean, bike season's back, so I'm gonna be biking a lot, going to Canary back and forth. But I'm at like 190 now, I think, around 190. My lowest I was 175, which a dude, I was saying this to John the other day, a dude that's 6'3" should not weigh 175. That's just fucking freaky. So I don't know, 185, 190. I'm good with that. I'm still,
Yeah, that's a pretty good weight.
still weird looking, so it's fine.
Hey, Leo, can you give me a beer? There we go.
Sure.
Training.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Before we go, I want everyone's help with something that's not normally we do off the on the show.
Normally help on this show.
I've been cooking dinner the past 3 or 4 nights, and I'm done with it. So I'm getting Chinese from my favorite Chinese food. All right, and help me order Chinese. All right.
I'm a big fan of mushi.
Lucy. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Americanized Chinese food takeout stuff?
Huh?
Talking like Americanized like Chinese food takeout?
Or how authentic? And what
No,
parts of
there's a really good spot that's around me that's actually really well done, but it looks like they're closed. Now, you know what? I'm gonna have to scrap that.
China?
They're not open.
Gonna have to go with Korean barbecue, and I don't need your help for that.
Mm.
So, did we lose?
Oh, I want this one.
What beer you got there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Hey, by the way, shameless plug. If you guys can see this beer out in the market, you should probably grab some because it's maybe the best thing that we've done.
What's it called?
Freddie Goes. It's a peach goes. It is got a lovely mouthfeel. Great aroma. You can really get the kick of the lactobacillus and peach aroma, and the great punch of salt and peach on the flavor in the finish.
Who's Freddie?
He's a brewer.
Is that his
Yeah.
car?
Yeah, he thought it was typical to sit in the front seat of the Uber. We called it Freddie Goes in the front seat of Uber. So,
Why does he like talking to the driver?
yeah, I do the same thing.
In his defense, when Uber first started up, there were a few airports that didn't allow them. They still wanted to, like, obviously get the business. So I remember, like, flying into, I think it was, where was it? It was Louisville. And the Uber who picked me up, like, before I got in, he's yelling at me, like, sit in the front seat! Sit in the front seat! And I was like, okay. So I sit in the front seat, and he goes, I just can't let anyone know that we don't know each other. And I was like, you were yelling at me to sit in the front seat. I think everybody knows. So it could have just been the law, but maybe this guy took it to heart.
Whoa. Because he didn't want to get caught by taxis, right?
Yeah.
Ah.
All the taxi cabs were pissed. And so local cities were like, all right, fine, no ride sharing at airports. And obviously that's changed, but early on, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
I didn't know that flying into fucking Louisville, so I was like, I'm just gonna Uber it or now Lyft. But yeah, it was this guy was just screaming at me.
Oh my god,
Everyone obviously knew that I was getting into an Uber.
that's pretty good. There was like a U on the back of his car, like right, like big old U stamp on the back window.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh well, gentlemen. Probably do some closing thoughts and wrap this sucker up. Jimbo, what do you got?
Well, the only thing I have to say for corrections is that you didn't mention that the movie that you saw in DC was Motherless Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Was it any good?
You could tell that it could have been something good had it actually a director and a writer that, weren't Edward Norton. I mean, he does a good job acting in it, and I get where they were going with it, but The premise is good. The cast is good. The cast is good probably because I like called them all. It was like being my movie. It's entertaining enough. I give it a B minus.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read somewhere right before that came out that Edward Norton's like notoriously challenging on a set. And then I saw that movie coming out with him directing and writing. And I'm like, I refuse to go watch Edward Norton jerk off for 2 hours. So I'm probably not going to catch that one.
So I mean, the whole thing of it being like a crime noir and everything else. I mean, the shtick about his character is, obviously that he has Tourette's, and no one knows what Tourette's is. But oddly enough, everyone he comes across when he has an outburst, he'll say like one thing. He's like, my mind is messed up, and they all accept it immediately right after, and you're like, oh, it's kind of a little. I'm thinking, and like you're dealing, and especially you're dealing with in the movie, you're dealing with the racists in it because it takes place, like the gumshoe days. But they're all like, "Oh no, don't worry about it." Like so, the whole thing. It was just kind of a little like it was just thrown in there a little bit just so Edward Norton could show off a bit, and it didn't really work to anything with his character. But I was watching it. It was entertaining. I mean, the plot itself is sophisticated enough so that you can watch it and kind of understand what he wanted to do and enjoy it for that. But other than that, you're like, really clunky and really cheesy. So that's my official amateur, bullshit review of it.
The other stuff I have, my beers that I was drinking, the one I was sipping out of can, Melvin called Me, Myself, and Ty, hazy IPA, actually really, really good. You can find it in New England. And then a new brewery that just opened last week, Faces in Malden. Their patio just opened. I went over there just to grab some cans, and I'm drinking Commander La Creme, their cream ale. And then finally, we're not going to forget about what's been going on the past few months, but it will subside. The feelings, the virus. Just please remember to at least write down or remember all the feelings you have during this time, and keep all those progressive ideas you have in your head, because they need to change. Things need to change when things go back to normal. Lots of other people have been feeling this way for a long, long time, and most of the beer world should not forget about this. And I know they will, but you shouldn't. So for the few of you that actually watch this, please remember that the feelings that you have right now, and there's plenty of ways you can be better as a person.
Well said, Jim. John, any closing words for you as our guest?
I'll have to second Jim's comment. That was great, Jim. I don't know. Be good to yourself. Positive mental attitude. All the time, every day. Just I don't know. Just be good to yourself. And drink more beer. And smoke more weed. And go for runs. And hang out with random friends on a random Wednesday night if you feel the need to. Not so bad.
Poignantly put. All right, cool. Now, what about you?
I do want to say that I've had some serious connectivity issues this evening, and I apologize for that. So I've gotten about half of what y'all said. Just the Jim's statement was very thoughtful, and I'm gonna take that and smash it together with John's and say, be good to other people. Treat people nicely. If you're going out and expecting businesses to run as per usual, something you're accustomed to 6 months ago, don't expect that. Expect that we're all fucking just a little bit damaged as a result of all this. And like you said, there's a lot of people out there that have been dealing with this kind of shit for centuries. We're just getting a taste of it. So maybe take this and use it going forward to be a better person. treat other people better. I don't know. I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to get on that PMA train, and it's getting better. I think again, having some direction has been helpful, work wise, and we'll get back to something resembling normal. But until then and after then, just fucking be good. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good words. I've been thinking a lot about everything going on for obvious reasons. My fear would be that nothing does change, and I hope that obviously it's they're empty fears. I think as a society, it's a wake-up call in so many things. I think before George Floyd was senselessly murdered by the police, we were going through a wake-up in terms of what society needed in terms of the health of the planet with COVID-19. And then obviously we're going through a wake-up call in terms of how humanity actually views itself, and who people in power choose to see as those who are humans, which is sadly a horrifying thing that I think a lot of us are waking up to and realizing that things haven't changed. We were all kind of told when we were younger that the civil rights movement did this. And when you look at it, there was this documentary I was watching, and there's this woman in Birmingham, Alabama, in what was called the Summer of Love. She's a black woman. And there are 4 cops holding her down while one kneels on her neck. And you just look at it and you're like, nothing has changed. And it's really as a result of everybody who looks like the 4 of us. So it's a horrible thing, and I hope that society does actually really want to heal and change and go through everything from this. But it was a pleasure to see the 3 of you and have a beer and
Definitely.
see friendly faces throughout it. So,
Are you talking about 13th
13th?
on
No,
Netflix?
I watched this is and I meant to watch it when it came out. It's called I Am Not Your Negro, and it's created by Samuel L. Jackson. It's about James Baldwin, and it is fucking brilliant. And he was just talk about an absolute genius, and the way he spoke and how eloquently he spoke. But then, when presented with a question or anything else, his responses were so just off the cuff, brilliant. Everyone should watch it. It's absolutely incredible. And it was done, it was released right around Ferguson. And, the hope was then that things would change after Ferguson. And obviously things haven't. So, the hope is that this does actually spur those in power and those who are ignorant to get educated and become actually loving people who view everybody as people. So, but watch that film. It's an incredible film. Fellas, always a pleasure. Jim, John, Tina.
Richard.
Thanks so much, guys. This was good.
This is a good time. Adios.
Yeah.
Bye, Mom.
Good night.